everyone and welcome along. We are painting the letter R today, and for me there is no alternative. It's got to be a rose, but the rose I've chosen is called the sunset rose, which grows in our garden, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. So grab your paints and let's get started. So this is a rose that grows in our garden, which is kind of cool. So we're going to have a centre there. And we'll have it coming up behind. We'll have a little bud. I'm mindful that we've got a peony sort of doing a similar thing here, so I'm trying to just make sure that we don't do exactly the same thing. Have another one. And then maybe it might just go a little bit higher, because it is a climbing rose after all. So I've got circles or ovals for open flowers and little horseshoes for buds, and we definitely want to give that a little roll. So I was asking Ant if he had any favourite flowers to feature in the alphabet, and he quite rightly identified this one because this is a rare flower that Ant has taken a huge amount of effort in growing, and this really is his rose, I think. So the sunset rose, we need all the colours of a sunset, so I've got some yellow there, lemon yellow, then I'm going to take some orange, I don't know why I'm using a small brush. I've got my 2/10 in there as well. That is, these 3 mini brushes are all part of a set that I sell in my shop. If you need some detail brushes, I imagine by now you've probably sorted yourself out with some small brushes because we're on letter R. So that's Pyrrole orange, and then we want to make sure that our pinks are really gentle in terms of not sort of getting it bogged down in kind of crimson tones. I want it to be really kind of bubblegum kind of pink. So look no further than Opera Rose. And I'm going to sort of incorporate the pink into a few of the colours. This is going to be very much a blended colour rose. So I'm going to begin by putting the yellow and orange, lemon yellow, permanent orange together, and I'm going to start in the middle with some little curves, and then I'm going to bring in the Pyrrole orange. So essentially what we're trying to do is build up a series of the sort of the edges, the outer edges of the petals that you can see. Obviously a rose is such a tightly packed flower. So now I'm going to take pink and just sort of mix it into these oranges here. There we go, and then so every petal is anchored into that central point, and we're just seeing the edges. And then I'll get a little bit of pure pink and just drop in a little bit here and there. And that is how we paint a miniature rose. So I'll just do it again. So this time I'm a little bit more of a sort of oval shape. So the petals at the back are going to be a little less visible. Then we go into our slightly more pink. There we go. And then for our buds, I'm going to take some of the sort of midway point colour. Oh, actually no, I will start with some yellow. I'll start with some yellow in the sort of the tips there. And then I'll come down to this colour. Finish off with some pink like that. So we'll let that dry and then we can start placing our leaves and stems around the place. I've got some green gold and sap green, and I'm going to begin by painting a sap green stem with my 4/10 brush. A bit of fluff on the brush. And we'll have a little bulbous kind of sepal at the back here. And then I'm going to come up over the top like that, and then we'll have this one there we go. So we've got those, and now we want some leaves. So I am going to just always trying to decide where to place in leaves. I think it might be quite fun to put one there. And maybe one that's just coming in behind. And then we're going to have the sort of classic three-pronged leaf from a rose. So if I just do a little line there and then build up the shape with a serrated edge. And then we'll have one that's just going to tuck in behind the rose, and one that's going to just squeeze in down there. I like that. I just love to get as many nice little leaves in as possible. Like I say, it's a climbing rose, so we're really going to make it climb. These smaller ones just going to be just a little bit softer. Oh, I'm really happy with that. I like that a lot. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to take some sap green and I'm going to begin to just use it to darken down the stems and the leaves. With a little bit of a layer that allows you to see some of that lighter green underneath. So I've added a few little sepals coming up the side of the rose buds, and now I'm going to take some deep sap green and give just some of these leaves, ooh, look at that, wow. Some extra depth. And this is really helpful when you have a piece that is quite sort of tightly packed in with lots and lots of leaves, and even little, you get those little growths coming out there. Nice one. Okay, so we can go back to the rose, and all I want to do is take just a deeper colour, something like alizarin crimson. And I only need a very little bit on the brush, so I'll just sort of get a lot of it off the brush. And what we're going to do is just create a tiny bit of kind of shadow, I suppose. It's probably quite difficult to see exactly where everything's folding, but I'm using it to create this sense of a little bit of separation between some of the petals, so just sort of coming from underneath. When it's a slightly more open-faced flower, I'm still going to focus more on the space underneath, on the sort of bottom half. But you can see it just suddenly makes that rose a lot more defined, doesn't it? Okay, so it's time now to paint in our turquoise. So in goes the turquoise. The only other thing you could do on this rose is you could put in a few thorns if you wanted, because there are some serious thorns on our one. So here's just some yellow ochre, and just doing some little triangles up the centre stem, but I don't think you need to put too many on. The focus is the flower, of course. So there we have our beautiful sunset rose, a climbing rose. And yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled with that one. So I will see you next time for the next row, which we've got STUV to go. I'm just enjoying it so much, and it's getting prettier and prettier as further we go, so I just can't wait to see the finished piece. I hope you're enjoying it too. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and let us know how you're getting on with your calendar, with your alphabet. I'm still saying calendar. And maybe now you might be starting to think where you're going to put it, who you're going to give it to. Tell us what you plan to do with your alphabet, because that really makes my day to know that you are going to make someone's day with your artwork. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye!